With all the films that Guy Ritchie has been working on recently, does he still have what it takes to deliver on great action? Hey everyone, welcome to Cinema, where we focus on a film. I'm Josh, this is Simply Cinema. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, what you think about if it's good or if it's bad, or if it's somewhere in the middle, and you're just waiting for this review to help you decide if you're going to see it or not. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to consider liking and subscribing to this channel to help build this film culture community as a whole as we look to push to 1,000 subscribers here on this channel. But going right into the synopsis, in 1940, Ian Fleming and Winston Churchill create a band of soldiers that do an untraditional training that will go about different missions that will change the tides of World War II. But their plan of action and strategy is critical to the way of finding success. And going into the positives, I just really enjoy what the action has to go. The production value is amplified from some of Guy Ritchie's other films, and he might have had a bigger budget that works effectively, and the directing as a whole is improving upon what he has offered in the past. And he's never really been bad as a director, but there's something special about what the production has to do with all of the sets, all of the different designs, and all of the cast, and all of these extras that are on set to make this film feel more full of what is promised to the story that is going about. And what you get with this World War II setting becomes very compelling and interesting just within the history type of interest that I'm into. And I love what they go about doing with all the actions. There's a fun bit of comedy that's thrown in throughout, and the British accents and what you have going in with that setting is just becoming compelling with how this cast is stacked with Henry Cavill, Ritchson, and so much more. That's quite interesting for these action stars to bring about some great stunts and have all of these different antics that really builds up the story in a compelling way, where the camera movements are really flowy to what the plot has to offer. And with the way the film starts out, it gets you right into the action with something that starts later on in the story, but it still has a natural progression because you want to have something that's showy right off the bat, get you set up all the way into the story as you see the band of soldiers get put together, having these untraditional roles where some shoot a bow and arrow, some shoot guns, and some are just hand-on-hand combat. And just how they do that creates a different dynamic. What you get with the group, all the different variety of personality and everything. It's not too deep in its compelling narrative, but it still has what it kind of asks for you to pay attention to and deliver on within this war setting, what you're doing against the Nazis, against Germany as the UK is attacking, and how they're going against the commands as Winston Churchill and Ian Fleming are trying to go against what people are advising them not to do, since it's so untraditional and voodoo to what everything else is going on within the war, and wanting to have something that's more organized, because of course having an unorganized group could create problems based on how they're controlled or the lack of control that they have over them. And so what all flows out from this idea is very compelling, at least to the nature of what it has, and for Guy Ritchie's directing as a whole. But going into some of the mixed elements, of course some comedy cannot always work for everyone. Some of the jokes may have missed a little bit for me, but didn't necessarily ruin the film as a whole. And there's some bit of the personality of the characters that just don't scream something huge for what the film has to offer. And so I just wasn't always compelled by the nature of the characters to always be paying attention, because the action was oftentimes more compelling than the nature of the characters. So there's enough juice to keep the story flowing and the film to build up its ending in a surprising way. It often feels like it's trying to simply build up to something, to a sequel enjoyable or something in general, because you're not necessarily always getting the characters all together once you're building up, because obviously they're not part of the government yet, because it can have that interesting vibe where they're separate from going against command and having to rebel against something, but it doesn't often go all the way with some of the ideas that it's going after. And going into some of the negatives, just going on to the characters that I talked about, there are certain characters where a couple of them that are meant to be part of the team that's getting built up and established for a potential sequel, or just telling this story as a whole, ending on that note when they're together. There's something about how they separate a couple of the characters where they don't necessarily meet up until the final battle, or certain parts where they're not as significant to what the film has, and there's a bit of editing chops that flow decently well for what you're asking of the story, but because they're separated, and because this film sets it up almost as a team dynamic, which it does in some instance because of all of this other side, there's a separation between its focus on how it's balancing out the characters, the blend of not having these characters all together once you're establishing what the film is going after, which can be a big drawback to the flow, what you're getting, and sometimes feeling too lengthy because you're having these characters over here, these characters over here that are all going for a same general goal, but not starting together and separating, but instead being separate and then going together near the end. And so what that has to do with the film can throw off the balance, and the personalities of the characters being dry as they are can leave something that's really missing from this film. As big as the war can be, as good as the production, camera movements, and everything with the cast has going for it, but unfortunately there's something that is just missing when you're lacking the personality or something that really makes the team click as a whole, even if what they have offering to the story as an action piece, as their performances, there's just something that's lacking when you're really getting the absence of what these characters, their motives, and everything you really want out of something that looks like this type of film. And so therefore I have to rate this film a 6.5 out of 10, which is a good film, but of course, as I suggested, there's many things that could be amended with how it's written and how you're really getting to care about these characters. So let me know down in the comments below what you think of this film. Was it good? Bad? Does it not really connect with you? And let's have a nice discussion down in the comments below. Like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you're ready to build in this film culture community as a whole. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.